What is going on, everyone? Hope you're having a great Tuesday. We got a great episode for you today, as always. It's your boy Armando, Bass Kayak and Beers podcast, and we have a great guest for you today, Frank Twiggy Reed. He's been on my podcast before. If you haven't listened to that episode, I think it was earlier this year, and Frank has a great life story that he shared with us, and he's also a great fisherman. He has a great tournament coming up, the Hobie BOSS Susquehanna. We're going to be talking about that tournament and a bunch of other great things. So I'm very excited to have Frank. I have such an immense respect for who Frank is, and not just on the water, but off the water as well. And I feel like every time I talk to him, even on a personal level, not even recording on the podcast, but just having conversation with him, be post recording and pre-recording, I just feel better um about life just because of his outlook. And I one of the things that I love about having the podcast, not just talking about kayak fishing, but talking about life and talking about how people view the world from different point of views, and that's going to be shaped a lot of what they've been through life. So you know viewing the world or life through Frank Reed's eyes, talking to him, I just feel like I'm a better person for it. And the great thing about it is I can share some of that conversations with you all. So I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Again, it's Frank. I have so much respect for him. Such a great angler and such a great person, and has done so much, that you wouldn't even believe. But other than that, before we jump into the episode, I did, like I mentioned last week, I went to Possum Kingdom with Jeremy McCormick. Again, follow Jeremy McCormick on Instagram. I think it's Jeremy McCormick Fishing. Um, listener to the podcast since probably day one. Big fan of the podcast. He's invited me a couple of times to go fishing. Finally, we are able to set a date. That was last Monday. Went fishing to Possum Kingdom. Um, Got a great time with Jeremy. We each caught like three fish. Weather, as you know, it's been hot here in Texas, but we had that day where we had like quote unquote a cold front, which summer just summer temperatures just went up to 90 something instead of 100 and something. So morning was great, nice cool breeze. We're able to get some bites. I missed a huge fish. I was just talking to Frank about that, and I'll have that video posted probably on my Instagram. I did start a TikTok channel, so it's under Bass Kayak and Beers as well. So you can follow me on Instagram, Bass Kayak and Beers, TikTok, Bass Kayak and Beers. I also have a Spanish YouTube channel called Remos y Aletas. You can also check that out if you like Spanish. Most of the videos on that one has subtitles in English. So, anyways, I had a big old fish. I don't know what it was, on deep on a net rig, like 20 feet deep on a ledge. And I don't know what it was, but it completely bent the rod. And unfortunately, I had the tension on the line. It was like, I had like 10-pound test line, and it broke it off clean. I don't know what it was. I'm, part of me thinks, oh man, I got the biggest bass, world record bass, so I caught a huge catfish, or bit into a huge catfish, or drum, whatever it was. But I'll have that video come up on my reels on Instagram. But other than that, had a great time, caught some nice fish, so it was cool. Beautiful lake. If you've never been to Possum Kingdom, do yourself a favor, plan a trip to Possum Kingdom. Beautiful lake, great fishery. Anyways, big thank you to our sponsor, Douglas Rod. Go to douglasoutdoors.com. Check out the full lineup of LRS, X Matrix, and fly fishing rods. We'll go to a quick Waypoints commercial, and we'll bring Frank Reed right in. My man, how you doing, buddy?
Man, we ready. Look, my buddy
Ready?
and his son stepped in real quick. Come here real quick, guys. We ain't live yet.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah. Oh, you are live?
How
Yeah,
you doing?
that's my son Brendan right there, and then his buddy Carter is
Nice to
right
meet
there.
you, Brandon. You have a great
Yeah.
dad, cool dad. I'm sure you're proud of him.
Yeah, they're over there getting it in. So, you taking the dog with you? Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, love you too, dude.
That's awesome to hear. Have that.
It is,
connection with
man.
you.
You know, it's something else, man. Like, unreal.
Before we step into your connection with your son, your family, I know I'm going to start off the talking about the Hobie BOS in Susquehanna. Looking forward
Yeah.
to that.
Oh my God. Like, it is the premier smallmouth fishery in the world. It really is. It's hour 40 minutes up the road from me. Um, I mean, it's well known, well documented. I mean, come on, Hobie's been up there 2 years in a row, sold out. 3 years, sold out. 6 minutes. Come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
everybody wants to get here. And that is amazing. That it pulled that quick. But luckily for guys up here our way, it's like I said, it's an hour and 40-minute trip for me. Um, my local tournament, MAKBF, Mid Atlantic Kayak Bass Fishing, they're hosting a tournament too that same weekend. So we're going to run them in conjunction. Alex Fiolka, Josh, Aaron White, Josh Evans, Aaron White, Matt Campbell. They're aboard. Ryan Lignelli. I want everybody to jump in on that if they can. It's where you can double dip and you can win a lot of money,
Yep.
as everybody knows. So you can go back to, Texas, or you can go back to Alabama. You can go wherever you want and say, I took on, the Hobie BOS and won it. And I also won their local event,
Yeah.
It's, man, if you can double dip and be from out of state, you can talk a whole lot of smack. So I mean, in case you never watched KBN, it's full of smack talk. And you know what? If you love to jump on their podcast with Ryan and
Is
Jeff,
it though? Is it?
yeah. And if you can get on KBN and say you won a Hobie BOS and you beat the locals on their own home river, bro, you're set for life. You're pro series right there. So it's so cool. It's so cool, man.
Gives you street credit on that PN.
It does, man. It really
KBN
does.
Group
Oh
chat.
yeah, I mean, it does. And you know what? I'm gonna give a little juice for myself, and I want to help out anybody, even though I'm not a great angler by far. I just have fun doing this. A whopper plopper, a
Yep.
chatterbait, and a Ned rig. And some people will throw spinner bait. I'm not that guy. I can't. I've tried. Those three baits for me and for anybody coming. I mean, they ought to know that's the ticket up there on the Susquehanna. Everybody's gonna be wrecking them. They really are. Everybody's gonna wreck them.
Bus baits. I know Christine
Yeah.
Fisher's big on the bus bait over there. I know now Susquehanna, I think, and I should probably look this up, but I think the last two has been Jody Quinn, which is great river fisherman, Jody Quinn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think he's won the last two Susquehanna rivers, and I want to say he won them on a spinnerbait,
You're
but
probably right.
I'm not sure, and I'm gonna look it up real quick on past tournaments. But how long now? You moved up north recently, right? You were
I
living in
did.
Alabama, was it,
Yeah.
or Virginia?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm born and raised, like I'm right here in Winchester, Virginia. I'm only like an hour and 10 minutes born and raised in Cumberland, Maryland. So when I took a position with the federal government, I ended up going to Alabama for a year and a half. So I was here for 20 plus years and I made that move down to there, did my time, uh, and was able to transfer back up here, still inside my department with the federal government. And I was able to come back home, back to Winchester, and, be with my boy, my son, Brandon, who's 13. Everybody's seen him on internet with me. So, it was good to get back home, be here with him. So, yeah, man. And now, I bought a house on the lake. So I have like 240-acre lake right outside my door, So we take the kayaks down there. Got him finally on a kayak. So it was good to finally do that. I've only fished it once since I've been out here. So, but I mean, it's just a fun place. But yeah, you were saying Jody Queen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jody Quinn won it last year,
yeah,
and I think the year before that.
yeah.
And
That cat's
that
nice. He
yeah,
can
no,
fish it.
and one of the things that blows my mind on this, first of all, 139 anglers. I would have thought last year would have, but I know we're middle of a pandemic. But 139
Sure.
anglers, 1,259 fish caught, and I did the math, not on my brain because I have a
Right.
smartphone and I'm not smart. My smartphone is smarter than me. That's each angler averaged 4.5 bass. So pretty much like that's unheard of.
Everybody get a
That's
limit. everybody gets a limit.
Pretty much almost everybody got a limit, man.
Yeah,
That is crazy.
yeah,
And the size of those smallmouth bass.
yeah. That was where I caught my record, my PB. Um, some say it's, whatever, 18 and a half inch smallmouth ain't nothing to snarl
Oh,
at,
that's
I
yeah,
mean,
hell no.
it really isn't. Now, granted, some people get, a 20 or 21. Okay, you're getting them up in Erie and Champlain. Okay, I get all that, but for me, just as a fun angler fishing, out here to do that, man, that was a tank to me,
Yeah.
and it was just, and there's plenty of 16s, 17s, 18s, and I'm sure there's bigger in there that I was catching 16, 17s that day. But I mean, you really got to know that river up and down, left and right to get there.
Yeah.
Just a couple floats that I use that I like, it's fine by me. I'm catching them in there like that, and that place is amazing. It really is. You don't know until you actually get on it. You sit there and think, oh, well, my local river here, or my local river where I'm from. When you get to that river, you're more stuck and stupid and parked and dumb, sitting there just looking around, going, oh my God, this is so damn beautiful.
Yep.
And you find yourself just gawking. So it's good that you get them 2 to 3 day pre-fishes in and out of the way, because your first day you're floating on that river, you're going, holy shit, this is beautiful. And you're just
Yeah.
constantly looking left and right, and then it starts settling in. Okay, I'm here for games, So yeah, but for guys like us up north, it's a beautiful river, and we know it. But like I said, there's guys up there, Jake Harshman is just killing it.
Yeah.
He really is. Him and Jeff Little go up there a great bit, and they're doing their thing, and I love watching their videos. Go check them out on YouTube, man. If you guys don't follow Jeff and Jake, they do a lot of great videos up there. But I mean, them guys are up there sticking them.
Yeah.
I just ain't dedicated like that to do it. I just get on my float and I catch them. Great. If I don't, great. It's cool.
But I think and I've never fished Susquehanna, but from what I've heard, when you look at the numbers, like every angler, it's 139, like pretty much everyone. The average was, almost 5 fish per
Yeah.
angler.
Yeah.
It's one of those lakes where even if you're not, which is kind of ironic because both of them, the last 2 have been won by Jody Quinn. And I think the last 2, I know last year was, and I'm pretty sure this year before that. So it's one of those lakes that even though Jody Quinn is the one has won the last 2 years, it's still a lake. There's just so many plentiful fish with extraordinary size that
Sure.
anybody has a puncher's chance.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, you go anywhere, you throw in a jackhammer, and there's a good chance that you might end up in the money, if not winning it.
Yeah.
It's one of those lakes where you really like. It has this not lakes, I should say, rivers. It has like every place. It has intrinsities. Oh my God, I tried. Why do I keep using that word?
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah,
you know the word I'm looking for.
But
it
has the
has
option.
It has its areas where it's going to flourish, and whoever finds those areas is most likely going to win it, right? At the right at the right place at the right time. But even if you're not at the right place at the right time, you can still have a chance of just catching lightning in the bottle.
Yeah,
It's
you got
not.
that
It's not
opportunity
a.
catching big fish, and that could be your only damn fish. But that could be a big fish. You know what I mean? But God, it's just like we've all river fished. I mean, we've all lake fished. We know we see that lay down over here, or we see these couple stumps sitting up here. That's where they're sitting at, more likely, like 80, 90%. That river up there, any eddy, any
Exactly.
just any rock, like every damn where is fishy. Like you can look at every rock sitting there fishing, and you're like, holy hell, I know there's one right there. And you start, oh well, there's one on this side, and you find yourself doing that instead of you really working an area. You're sitting behind all these eddies all day, nonstop, and just like you said, you only need one fish. That one fish will get you $500. You know what? That's great. Or you get into that, you're catching 18s and 19s, and holy hell, now you're in the top 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5 in the BOS. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once again, like I said, on a lake, you pretty much know where the fish are going to be at.
Yeah.
Here on that river system, man, like everywhere, they're everywhere. and it's got ledges. So people think, oh, well, it's just, it's the flowing river and there's just, rocks, you dip in behind them. No, there's a lot of ledges up there too. A
Yeah.
boatload of ledges, and for you to actually run into another angler, or, other anglers, unless you're actually like, doing a 3 or 4 or 5 person float, like it's pretty tough not to, or it's going to be pretty hard to find somebody else there.
Yeah.
Because it's so wide. That place is so wide. So you're not sitting there going, oh, I got a guy 40 yards from me. No, that guy is really like 340 yards away from you. So you're not like really sitting on top of each other there. Like everybody got so much room to operate. You don't have to worry about somebody saying, oh, well, you're holding that side down, I'll hold this side. No, it's so wide. You got plenty of opportunities.
And I think as far as boundaries, I think this year, and that might have been last year too. But I'm pretty sure this year they opened up the boundaries. Like AJ decided, like, wider range of areas than it was in prior years. And that might have started last year.
He may have. I got to be honest with you, because the float that I do is well inside the boundaries. It's nothing big. I'll put it out there. I float Liverpool down to ferry boat camp. It's 6 mile. I think it's 6 mile. But once again, that 4 to 6 mile float, you can make that a 10, 12-hour day, and because everything is so damn fishy. And once you get on them, like you're just hiding behind eddies the whole day, and it's just, yeah. So I float Liverpool to ferry boat camp, and it's just, I put in here and we float down and take out and I camp right there. So it's just, that's my float. That's the one I feel comfortable with. That's one I've always done. So it's just like, if I see you, and it's not really good.
No, I was gonna say I think they also they have special rules as far as tethering your kayak whenever you're going shallow. So it kind of opens up. It's a different dynamic than what usually Hobie BOS puts out there. So and it should be. It's like unlike any fishery out there on those trails. Susquehanna is its own monster, and with its own set of challenges. And so for them to open the river up, the boundaries, and allow for more freedom as far as portaging and tethering your kayak and fishing, that's big. So it's only going to make that tournament even more interesting. So you imagine the numbers that might be put up this year. So
and I'm all for that. Fishing that area, you have to be able to tether it sometimes, man, to yourself. You really do. I get it. I get it. Back when this thing all first started, I get it. Oh, you're bank fishing. Well, you're not bank fishing. Just bank fishing is when you leave the damn thing up on the side of the hill and you go walk miles, and then as long as it's still tethered to you, as we all know, it's perfectly legal now, man. It's just,
I like that.
And I hate that people talk about doing that, but until you come up to that fishery, you really can't.
It's different, and and there's a reason why they change the rules for that. Like again, it's its own monster. That just brings me back to that whole KBN, which actually they just posted something today about that. The whole rules for KBF, where you can just like dock your kayak and walk a mile.
I guess.
I don't know, man. That's just.
That's why reason I thought I bought a kayak to get into this was to be out on the water fishing. Hell, I would stay bank fishing, but to each their own. I don't care what anybody else does. It's just
My whole thing with that is like, how did that rule came about? Like, who thought? Well, I know who thought of that rule, but I don't need to speculate on that. But it's like, how did you come up with this rule on a kayak tournament? Like it seems like you really overthink this if you decided to put that rule in the rules box. But again, to each his own, man. And that's the rules. You can take advantage of it. Hey, take advantage of it, man. As long as you don't do anything legal. But so I know. Well, first of all, what is bold predictions for the Susquehanna River? Don't say Jody Quinn's going to win it, because that's not a bold prediction.
No, I'm not.
That's a pretty solid prediction.
I gotta tell you this, because like, you're a smart person. You don't pick yourself, and I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? Because I might get lucky. You know what I mean? Like, I might get lucky, but no, it ain't gonna be me, and I'm good with that. I'm not going to pick a person, but I'll
Mhm.
give numbers. So I'll say for 2 day, for both days
Mm.
combined, I'll say 187
Oh,
combined
that's big. Wow.
with a big fish. And God, I know somebody's going to get one up out of here. I'm going to say a big smallmouth of 22 and a half.
Wow.
I mean,
That
come on, Armando. That place is just like any place, man. You can just find that one damn eddy or that one flow coming through, and they stack up there, and there's a mondo sitting in there. It's just, yeah.
it
So
I mean,
187 with 21 or 22 and a half inch smallmouth. That's my big fish. I'm calling it.
187 is pretty lofty considering last year was 183. So that's a 4 inch
Yeah.
increase on that. But I mean, it might be right. I mean, there's
Well,
going
I
to be
mean,
more anglers. There's going to be 61 more anglers. So you got
yeah,
to think that the numbers are going to go up as far as winning it. You got more, and I think now a lot of repeat anglers, because a lot of people just now have, Susquehanna is now considered like it's no longer a Pennsylvania best kept secret. Like the word is
right.
out. Everybody
Yeah.
from the nation
Oh, yeah.
has that in their bucket list for kayak
Yeah.
bass fishing, or should
Yeah.
have it. So it's one of those things where the knowledge of the river system has broader. So I think people are going to start figuring it out quicker. And so the numbers should come up. So 187 is not bad.
Yeah.
That
And,
yeah,
and you got to worry about the flow too.
yeah.
It's low right now. I mean, hell, who knows? I mean, we're looking at what 20, well, the 30th, right? So we're still basically 4 weeks out. I mean, hell, we just had a hell of a storm roll through here. I don't, it's all gonna be about that flow. That hole you've been fishing for, weeks, it might be blowed out,
Yeah.
or what have you. So I mean, it's gonna be a toughie, man. It really is. It's gonna be one of them game day callers. We can. That's where it's going to be at. Your pre-fish might be absolutely wonderful on a Wednesday, Thursday. 4 o'clock. All of a sudden, Christ Almighty, here comes this massive storm rolls in. And rains on us all evening, and then all start next morning. You're sitting there going, "Oh, damn!" You know,
Yep.
just one of them things, man. One of them things.
You gotta have plan A, B, C, D, and as many as you
Yeah,
can. 'Cause
you do. Yeah,
it
you're
could
right.
change.
You do.
Rivers, it's different than lakes, man. It could change. You know,
Yes.
um, even summer, even though summer is more of a steady temperature. You don't see like winter, not winter, but more like spring or fall, where it's
Fall.
transition seasons, where you can see temperatures drop dramatically from one day to another.
Right.
With
Right.
cold fronts. Um, Still, river is a river, and it is its own its own set of
Yeah.
challenges, and so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
Going a
man.
little bit into I know for you fishing the Susquehanna, the Hobie BOS, kind of on a personal level, um, has a deeper, more meaningful meaning than most of us.
Yeah.
We've had you on the podcast before, and we talked a little bit about your career before coming into what is your career now. You used to jump out of the planes in the middle of a war zone,
Right.
take out the enemy.
Right.
And then that was your job. And then going back to civilian life was very, very
Sure.
tough for you, more than
Sure.
a lot of people. And, you definitely had your struggles there. Now,
Sure.
a couple of months ago, you got a chance to move back closer to your son. And then you had some bad news.
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit
man.
about that, man.
Yeah. So please, everybody, we all grew up hearing that 50 was the time to go get your colonoscopy done. The new date is 45 years old. Um, I'm 51. I missed it down there in when I was in Alabama when I turned 50, and I just let it go by the wayside. When I moved back home, I thought, okay, I'm home, back with everybody, family, friends. I know everybody. I was like, let's go ahead and get my colon done, my colonoscopy. I got it done, and Man, I gotta tell you, first and foremost, the drinks that you got horrible.
That's horrible. Yeah.
It's gross nightmare, and I'm sure everybody knows what happened. It flushes you out. You're basically living on a toilet for a couple hours.
Yep.
But they have to do that. So, um, and I say this, and I say this in all true honesty. My best friend, my ex-wife, she went with me for mine because you have to have a driver because they put you underneath. So
Yep.
um, I was just like, hey, we'll drop Brendan off at school. I was like, we'll go do my colonoscopy. We'll go have lunch afterwards. Blah blah blah. We already had our day planned. So we get in there, and they knock me out. I come to in the waiting room and I'm sitting there, just waiting to be discharged. And I hear the doctor to my left, the doctor to my right. And they're like, oh, yeah, you had some pileups, we got them out. Okay, you're good to go. You don't have to come back in for 5 years. Well, then my doctor come into my room, well, actually the nurse, and she goes, Mr. Reed, you can go ahead and get dressed. Your driver is going to meet you at the doctor's office. Okay, first thing you think of is, okay, I flash back when I was sixth grade, and I'm like, the teacher would come and say, you're going to the principal's office. I knew
Yeah.
I was in trouble. You know what I mean? So I was just like, shit, like I gotta go to the doctor's office. I'm like, okay, cool. I get in there and I sat there and he was just like, hey, just want to let you know we was in there, and like this dude was cool, laid back individual, and I appreciated him not being that here's what we're and here's how this and this is. This dude was laid back, easygoing, cool until he goes, Frank, you got cancer. I'm telling you, okay. Until somebody tells you that, we all
Yeah.
hear, maybe a friend or an older family member. But man, when he hit me right in the face with look me dead in the eye and he said, Frank, you got cancer. I kid you not when I say this. And like I said, I wish my ex-wife, she was here, she'd tell you. I looked right at Carrie and I said, what the F did he just say to me? And I turned around and looked back at him and I said, can you tell me what did you just say again, sir? And he told me and I just lost it. I fell apart, bawling right there in his office. I don't care, man. I'm a man. I show my emotions. I wear them on my sleeve. Um, it the first thing I didn't think of anything was, I need to tell my family. First thing I thought of was my son, like what the hell's going to happen to him? That's where your mind goes to. Um, it was pretty devastating, dude, for real, and we left there, of course, the doctor's like, hey, we took a biopsy, we sent it out, so, we'll know more. It was 5 centimeters, which was a little bit bigger than
That's
a
big.
golf ball.
Yeah, that's big.
And like, it was in my ascending colon. So if you're looking like down at your stomach, your ascending colon comes up on your right, your transverse goes across you, and then your descending colon comes down on your left side out to your rectum. Mine was in my ascending colon. I couldn't feel that size. Whether I bent down, jumping jacks when I would run, nothing. You don't feel it.
Hmm.
Um, so that's where it was, And they said, "Oh, yeah, you got a golf ball size, blah blah blah." And I said, "Okay, cool." He goes, "So I'm going to refer you over to the cancer center." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I get this." Well, we left there. I damn sure wasn't ready to eat, and I probably cried probably at least 3 more times going back to Carrie's house, and it was a nightmare, and then all of a sudden here they comes back and they're like, no, your biopsy's back. I said, non-cancerous. Well, actually that word that was in there was like this long. And of
Hmm.
course, I have no idea what the hell that means. So obviously, as everybody in the world does, Google's our best friend. So is WebMD, and like a lot of people actually get hung up on that. They'll start, oh my God, I got this, I got this. I pulled that up and it said non-cancerous. And I thought, okay, well, hell, I'm out of the water then. Thank God this guy was bullshitting. Now I'm riding the roller coaster because he had me down here, and now I read the report. I'm way up here, and I'm like, life's good, blah blah blah. we're singing Happy Joy is Freeze and everything. And, I go to my cancer doctor and I met her. This, like, I'm 6'5", 200 pounds. This woman was probably all of 4'10", maybe a 100 pounds. And I met her and we were talking and I was just like 45 minutes in there. She's telling me where it's located. She's telling me what the size of it is. She's telling me the course of action that she's going to take. And 45 minutes deep into this, Dr. Sophia, can you please answer me one question? I said, you've been avoiding this thing the whole time. I said, do I have cancer? And she says, yes, you do, Frank. I said, okay. That's all I needed to hear. I said, because, Dr. Baig said I did. The report came back from the biopsy that I didn't. And now you tell me I have. She said, Frank, she goes, I've seen hundreds of cases like this. She goes, I've been doing this 18 years. She goes, this is cancer. She goes, it's the size, the look, everything. I said, okay. I'm like, let's handle it. Let's go. And she's like, really? And I'm like, well, yeah. I'm like,
What else? Yeah. What else can we
what are
do?
you going to do about this? I'm like, I've already cried enough. I've already thought enough. I said, it didn't help me out at all for weeks. I said, I did eat well. I didn't sleep well. I'm like, let's knock this thing out real quick. I said, can I have surgery next week? I was like, because I got a fishing tournament coming up. And she was like, Frank, I'm so sorry. She goes, no, she goes, it's going to be a couple weeks. And I was like, cool, so they got in there and they resected, they took out like almost, she said like 14 inches of my ascending colon. So we got 5 feet of your colon. She took out a little over almost a foot and a half of it. And so yeah, so now instead of having ascending colon, it like comes up like across. She goes, oh, don't worry. She goes, you'll never have appendicitis ever again. She goes, I took it out while it was in there too. She goes, because it's like right there at the end of your ascending colon. She goes, so we just got rid of all of it. So I was like, cool. And I was in a hospital there for like 3 days. And she said, come in. She said, oh, your surgery went well, Frank. We got everything out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. She goes, I'll see you in like 3 or 4 weeks. So they took a lot of lymph nodes out too around in that area. She said they were swollen, some lymph nodes. And okay, I get that, it's part of it. So then 3, 4 weeks later, I go back and she goes, you basically won the lottery. And I'm sitting there going, what? I'm like, you're the one who performed this surgery, I didn't. And she was just like, yeah, she goes, we got every bit of cancer out. What? You know what I mean? So it's just like, she's like, yeah. She goes, you are cancer free. We sent the lab results in, everything came back. You're 100% cancer free. And of course, I lost it in her office, and so yeah, you do this and you do this and you do, and I'm like roller coaster, man. Like I'm just like, and I wasn't able to fish for a month, so I had no way of like downtime, and I didn't take any time off work. I mean, being as I telework, I basically sat in front of my laptop and tried to work as much as I could to try to keep my mind off things, okay, wait for this pathology to come back, waiting to get back in their office, waiting to find out, do I got to do chemo? Do I got to do, radiation? You just, you just inundate with all this stuff, and when she told me that, they got it all and everything was good, it was like, so I don't have to go to chemo. I don't have to go through radiation. I don't have to do that. She said, nope, you don't. Whew. I think like 2 days later, I think I went out and I lived on the water for like 12 hours just to fish. Like, I really don't even know if I caught anything, to be real honest with you, because I was just more and just like, like it's over. And like the laparoscopic surgery, like you would think something like that big. Like they had, like I got so like 1, 2, 3, 4 small incisions that they put like this robotic arm in you. And then like I got like they called it like a women's C-section, a woman's C-section. I got like a real long, like 6, 7 inch line right at my like waistline to where they actually like brought it out through. and cut all of me out. I was like, man, like this is crazy. Like a robot did this. She just sat over at a desk on this, doing it this way with her fingers while these machine was inside of me. She was doing it. Dope, man. This is dope stuff. Like it was so
Yeah.
cool, you know, but
That,
you know, unreal. But I'm back. I
well,
gained some
first of
weight
all,
back because I lost like 15 pounds. So I got some weight back to me now, you know, and yeah, it's good. I can run, jump again, you know, I can do back to normal activities. I can pick that 700-pound kayak Kobe up and put it in the truck now and just like go fishing. So it's great, man. It's great.
feels like a new lease on life, I'm sure.
Oh, come on, man. You know, it did, you know. It's once again, it falls back to that roller coaster of emotion. You got
Yeah.
cancer. You don't got cancer. You got cancer. We got all your cancer out and play.
It
Unreal.
takes a toll on you emotionally. I mean,
Mhm.
it's the highs and lows. It just takes a toll on you. Um, the first thing that I wanted to touch on, going what you said, and that this for the listeners out there, is like, especially the guys, you got to get those tests done, man.
Yeah,
And
man.
for me, it started at my mid 30s because my dad had cancer, kind of at the same age you got cancer. And colon cancer. So for me, it was
Mhm.
like at that point, as soon as they discovered his cancer, and pretty much carbon copy of what you went through. He's cancer free and all that, and that's been like more than 20 years now. Thankfully, he's still with
Amen.
us. But so for me, it's been on the back of my mind for more than 20 years. So every 5 years, I have to get that done. It's like God, you can't,
Yeah.
because it's one of those things where you keep postponing and keep postponing it, and it, a week, a day can make a difference. What
Yeah.
could be, it can be one day too late, where it's like, yeah, something you can do. Um, so anybody that's out there listening, especially the guys, get. I know and it is, man. Those, every 5 years taking those, whatever they call it, the
That
gallon of what saline water, man, that's horrible.
yeah, it was,
Anybody that has done that, it's
you
horrible,
know,
man,
I had
and
to do
it's
it
gotten
twice.
better.
Yeah, I did it twice within 2 months, you know, and it's not good. It tastes
No, man,
horrible. They said, "Oh, mix it with Gatorade." It still didn't work.
it's
You know, it still
it's
tastes
horrible,
crap.
man.
You know, and to touch on that real quick though, Armando, um, 45 guys and girls, you know, and it's not just guys. You
Yeah,
know, it's so crazy when Carrie was in there with me. She actually, when we were leaving, she scheduled hers that day too. So I drove her for her surgery. She just had a couple polyps and she's good. But for me now, I have to go every year for the first 3 years. And once I'm cleared, then I get to go once every 3 years.
yeah,
But yeah, man, you know, it's not, you know, I want to make sure that guys and girls, you know, go get it, man. You know, cancer don't discriminate. It don't discriminate. You
nope,
know, it's no matter how old you are, you know, size, color, all that. So I mean, and everybody, you know, everybody here is adult, you know, they know. Do that maintenance for yourself. And if you're not going to do it for yourself, at least do it for your family.
yeah,
You know, really, you know, I know we're all supermen. We all try to be that Superman, you know, and I'm okay. Nothing's wrong with me. I damn sure didn't feel that big lump in my gut. I did not
yeah.
feel it, you know. So do yourself that justice, you know. Go get yourself checked. Get yourself checked. It don't take but 30 minutes, you know, 30 minutes. And you don't feel a thing.
Yeah.
Uh, you really don't. So,
We gotta. I know, and I know for some people that I've talked to, friends of mine, it's like, it's like guy things. I don't want that, camera shove up my rectum. Just
right,
gotta think
right.
more mature. We gotta grow up and think more
You
mature
do.
about that.
You do. You do.
It's about life.
It really
I
is.
actually, and I don't think I've told you this, Frank. I actually, because every 5 years I have to get my colonoscopy done. I actually scheduled it around the time you did, out of coincidence. And I saw your post when you mentioned that you got cancer.
Yep.
That was shortly after we recorded our episode, and I reached out
Yeah.
to you because I'm like, man, I just scheduled mine, and now I'm hearing this from Frank. So now my paranoia is getting, is growing, because
Yeah.
the paranoia is always there. It's like I figure my dad had it at some point. I'm going to have it. It's not a question of
Yeah.
if; it's a question of when.
Right.
So I was like, man, is this a year that I get? And I hear you, and you and I talked
We
a
did.
lot. So hearing your perspective for it, in even if it's just on a chat, you didn't, you had the way that you went about it in the conversations. I felt a lot better because I was like, this guy, gets it. He has the most positive outlook that I've ever heard of somebody that's just been told that. So when I went into my colonoscopy test, I was like thinking about what you went through and thinking, if I get bad news, at least I can go back to a conversation you and I had and kind of
Mhm.
like feed off of your energy. So I'm really grateful for that. In my case, they removed polyps and they were cancerous. Now I don't
Wow.
know how to describe it. It's not that I have cancer. It's just that the polyps have, if they would have been left without being removed, it would have
Right.
turned into cancer.
Right.
So now I have
Right.
to get the colonoscopy done every 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's now unpleasant. Instead of every 5 years, every 3 years, but it's still nerve wracking just to think about it.
Yeah.
And again, that it's not a pleasant procedure. Well, not the procedure. You're
You don't
under.
even know it. Yeah.
You don't
Yeah. You
even
don't
know
even
it.
know it.
You
Right.
just took the best nap in the world,
Yes.
but it's just the 12 hours before you
And
have
it's
to
the
start
thought
drinking
too,
that.
yeah, and it's the thought too, I mean,
Yeah,
because that what's about to happen, but once again, it's one of them, man up, man,
yeah,
it's part of life, you know what I mean? It's not, you're getting violated,
yeah.
unconstitutional here. I mean, it happens. But I got to tell you this, my doctor told me that she goes, now you realize, your son Bren, he'll have to start doing this too, and so it's funny. I looked over at Carrie and I said, "Well, let's put it on our calendar now. When he turns 40, we'll get an alarm on our phone that says, time to take Brendan to his colonoscopy." Because I mean, he's just like in you. Our kids now are accessible to it now.
Yeah.
And it. I'm sorry, son, but at the same time, I didn't plan for this one to happen. So
Yeah.
we'll just be vigilant, when he gets 40, Lord knows hopefully I'm still around by then, that it's just like, hey, dude, let's get you to the doctor. So it is tough, man. It really was tough.
So now that you have kind of like for you that not just second, but pretty much third lease in life based on what you've already went through
Yeah,
post
man.
your military career. This is like your third or fourth lease in life. Does the
Yeah.
burgers taste even better now? Does the hook sets feel even
you
better now?
know, they do. They do. And you know what? I mean, everybody sees, I post, I love giving the dinks love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not every time that we go out are we catching 18, 19, 20 inches, unless you're sitting in your local pond.
Mhm.
I love giving the small ones that 10, 12, sometimes 8. You know what? Because, man, maybe I'm just a different cat, man, but I'm just happy to be out there.
Yeah.
I don't do it because a sponsor tells me. I don't do it because this line company. I don't do it because this bait company. I just do it because I love it, and I've always been like that, and it's just like we're lucky to be able to go out and do that.
Yeah.
We really are. We're lucky to be able to do that, and I just, just man, give them little dinkies, man, as much as you give that big old, Spotzilla bass, it's just like, um, have fun with it, just have fun with it, and I will say this, my club up here, MAKVF, great dudes. Like I said, I brought a lot of their names up earlier. Um, I miss my guys down in Alabama too.
Yeah.
CKA Coleman Kayak Anglers. Um, my gang boys down there. We made that little thing up together. There was me, Luke Turner, Sam Cox, Jason Jones, Jacob Demott. I mean, those are my boys in Bama that I miss. um, they really got me deeper into you got river fishing and then you got creek fishing.
Yeah.
Totally different. In case people don't know, they're totally different. A river fishing, you float basically 95% of the time. That creek fishing, but you dragging shoals and then all of a sudden you get
Yeah.
this like 30-foot hole and then you're dragging more, and those guys turned me on to that. So big shout out to them cats down there, Sam is actually coming up in a couple weeks, so he and I will be doing the Hobie BOS. That was one of his big things. It's his bucket list. He always wanted to
Yeah.
fish the Susky. Bro, I got the house. We'll take a day fishing on the lake here at my house, and we'll head up and we'll, pre-fish and fish up there, and then we'll come back to the house, fish for a day, and then Sam will make that 15-hour drive back home. So it's just it's good to be able to have met people, to be able to hang out with people, to get to know people. It's man, we're in a pretty cool sport. I don't care what anybody says. Football is great,
Community as
basketball
well.
is great. Yeah, all of them are great, but I don't know any NBA players. I don't know any NFL players. I don't know any. I know guys that I fish kayak tournaments with. Freaking amazing! Like seriously, like the houses that we get. From Lake Dardanelle when I fished there to Sam coming up here, and all them tournaments in between, the people who I stayed with and met, great people, dude. I get it. Some people are a little tight knit than others, some guy, that's life. You know what I mean? It's just because, just stop. Have fun, man. We're all in the water fishing.
Life's too short.
It really is, man.
I don't. I mean, it's good talking points and all that, but a lot of times I think we focus too much on negative stuff or just
I agree.
rivalries and all that. And rivalries are nice in sport,
They are,
but it to a certain extent,
yeah.
You don't want that mean blood kind of thing. It's just kind of like competitive edge, but at the same time not losing that camaraderie. Because I mean, that's I think what stands out the sport more than anything, just the camaraderie that we have. For the most part, I've never had a negative interaction on the water.
Same.
I mean, if I do have, like, say, my first one, it'll be one out of a million great interactions that I've had before. So one is not gonna eclipse every enjoyable aspect of the community and the sport. It's nobody's perfect, nothing's perfect. So eventually you things don't necessarily may work out. Interactions may not always be perfect, but for the most part, I find it more enjoyable, and that's maybe because we need to focus more on the good than the bad on a personal level.
You Texans are different. I mean, you guys are more open, warming, heartfelt people. You know what I mean? Us
well, I'm an adopted Texan. I'm a Texan Puerto Rican.
Texan
Puerto Rican. But,
oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So, man, it's Hobie BOS. I did you sign up for Darnell? I thought I saw your name on Lake Darnell. No,
that was last year.
Last year. Okay.
Yeah, that was last year's. As in everything, with people right now, I mean, our gas prices are a little ignorant. And I'll leave politics out of this.
Crazy.
Yes, I do work for the federal government. Yes, but I'm not, I'm not going to get into politics. I don't like it. I can barely spell it. So I don't like talking about it. Honestly, I do. The gas prices is what it is. Ain't nobody gonna come and knock on my door and say, "Hey, Frank, what do you think our gas prices should be?" Well, there's not. So you know what? We just got to deal with it. Depending, I might go there. It just depends. You know what I mean? It's one of them. It's all about the gas price for me.
Yeah. Hopefully, it'll come down. I know. Summer, regardless of the economy, summer, just because of the heat and all that, gas prices go up every year. That's just normal. Now, granted, not as high as it's coming this year. But I think that's because of other external factors that I'm not smart enough to, comment on.
I'll let everybody else worry about that.
Yeah, I don't. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that by the time Darnell comes around, gas prices, unless something else happens, it should come down at least less than they are right now, just because we're out of summer or close to out of summer. But it's hopefully I get to see it. I thought Darnell was going to sell out, and I don't know if it has. I don't think it has. Last time I checked was last week, and it still had 109 anglers right now. So I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I mean, and here just this past weekend, 2 weeks ago, last week, they were just up in Northeast, up in New Hampshire.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't. Once again, I don't get into the politics of all this stuff, but Maybe that was too high of north for people. I see a lot of the chatter, about Northerners not, getting in on it. Well, maybe I was a little higher north than what people were expecting, or or what have you. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just,
I
let's
think
just
although
I
this
can call it. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, although I think the sport has grown more nationally, I mean, the sport of bass fishing itself is still relatively young. And when you think
Sure,
about it, it was just Southern good old boys, at the core of it.
sure,
So now it's kind of like moved up with, you see, um, like unheard of, but like Portland now has small bath that are, growing. That kayak bass fishing scene has grown in
sure.
places like Portland, but it's still a few years away than what it is down here in the South, the Bible Belt, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
yeah,
Um, so I wouldn't, other than the Susquehanna, which is interesting, it's not that far from New Hampshire, right? Geographically, but it's still the Susquehanna gets
it's
over
still a drive.
oversold in one in less than 10 minutes, and then New
Right.
Hampshire can't even sell 100 on those. And I think
Yeah,
with Fox and River is also not going to reach 100. Maybe it will, but it's one of those things where it's. I hope my thinking is Hobie BOS or Hobie in general is trying to, like, hey, they have to make sacrifices. Like if you just leave it for the southern, states, then yes, you're gonna get more audience. You're gonna get more.
understood.
It's gonna be higher payouts. But when you understand what Hobie is doing, it's like we want to expand our products.
Yeah,
So and Hobie is pretty much a global company. They have the Hobie
sure.
world. They're gonna, like, okay, we'll make some sacrifices, and even though it's not gonna be the attendance is gonna be that great, we'll go to New Hampshire and kind of
Right.
get a hold of that market. We'll see what they do next year. It's kind
Yeah.
of
I
like
mean,
it's a double-edged sword, because I know a lot of, like, the ones that are competing for the Angler of the Year race and all that. They're more
they're more
southern
acceptable to drive
roots.
everywhere. They're going
Yeah,
to drive anywhere, especially these
but they
guys
don't
want
want to do
AOI.
that drive, and certainly even if they win, a payout for 60, 50 people attendance, it's not the same as a payout for 200 people
Right.
attendance.
Right.
So for them, it's like, why am I going up there? So I get it. There's a
Same.
level,
Yep.
but we also understand OBBOS is trying to grow their brand and get them into places where the sport is just starting to, grow.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
be the first ones to get into that market.
And then you can't sit there and say, well, well, we gave you guys a try and you didn't really show out for it. So you can't keep asking. And we put one up
Yeah.
there and you don't show up for it. I mean, I get that. I get it. I get it. Let's just call it what it is. The market up that high is not,
It's not there yet.
it's not. Right, right. And no disrespect at all. I think we all understand that. It's not there yet. Will it get there? I'm sure it will. But we're all not stupid, dumb, and ignorant here. We know the South is where it's at.
Yeah.
You get Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia down. I mean that's everybody knows that fisheries are right on the money right there. And
Yeah.
analytics don't lie, data don't lie. Everyone's a sellout down that way. Up up just above, no disrespect. Once you get a little
Yeah.
bit above, Pennsylvania, well, now we're at 100, 120, maybe 130 max. So it's there's your justification, so I'll come down to Tennessee, I'll come to Alabama and fish. I love it down there.
Texas,
So
coming to Texas.
I, the only time I've been to Texas was uncertain. I
What
was
do you
in
mean uncertain?
uncertain. That's what it was
Oh,
called.
you weren't.
Uncertain.
Oh,
I was in uncertain Texas, fishing the KBF NC guy. That was what, 2018, I think it was, at Caddo.
Ocado. Okay.
2018,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
2019, I think it was. 18, 19, something like that. Yeah, we stayed out at the Caddo Wildlife Management Area in uncertain Texas. So I'm going to go ahead and
That
claim
was
that
the
I have
last
fished
year was on
Texas.
Ocado too, right? Does the KBF
Uh,
always hold their national Ocado? No. Right? There were last year.
Yeah,
There was in Caddo.
yeah, it was in Caddo, but then I think it was in like,
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. It had a
um,
like the river
oh
chain or
my,
not river chain. Yeah,
what?
it
I,
was a bunch of lakes, like 3 or 4 lakes,
yeah, 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 yeah. That's what it
which I
was.
understand because their attendance like 400. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so yeah, cave yep is their own animal. Let's
Yeah.
say that. Let's just say that their own animal. But yeah, so I can actually say I'm going to go and say I have fished Texas. I haven't really fished Texas. I do want to go to Possum King. I do want to make that trip.
Fork, you
Um,
got to go to Fork.
yeah, I mean, so I stayed with Mark Pendergraph once or twice, and great dude. Seriously, like
Oh yeah, Mark,
great dude.
Awesome
Mark
King.
is amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we hit it off really well. So he seeing him, what he did down there
Yeah,
at Possum King, who in the hell in the right mind would not want to go down there and try to fish that? You know what I mean? Like who wouldn't? I mean, I'm trying to put up them pentagraph numbers.
that was
I
amazing.
mean, come on. And then you had Joe McElroy right here in Alabama boy. I mean, he was right there. They were swinging.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I need to call this 14 or 15 incher. You're sitting there, Mark Pendergraft. You're like, fuck, I need to call this 22 incher. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God. Like, how does, it's total different animal down in the South. It is.
yeah.
It really
No,
is. So,
is there one thing about I love about Texas is bass fishing, man. You can't. I don't think because kayak bass fishing is so much part of my life now. I don't think I can move anywhere other than Texas.
yeah.
Just
Okay. So I love my son. It's very evident. I love my son. But man, I told this to everybody up here. I say, as soon as Bren turns 18, I'm moving. I said, I'm going back south. I'm going. I love the fishing up here. It's beautiful. I said, but when you get a taste of south or
yeah,
southern, however people want to say it, bass fishing down that way, it's a little tough to come back up to the northeast and try it. And you're just, you pull that 19 or 20 incher out of here, you're like, this is the greatest thing in the world. They're like down there, my buddies are like, Frank, you know better. Like we catch those, that's like our call fish. And I get it. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So yeah, I'm definitely thinking about coming back south here in about 5 years. Yeah.
Nice.
I gotta get back into
Well,
that fishing down there.
you're welcome to visit Texas anytime, buddy.
My man, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Frank, I've
Definitely.
had you for almost an hour, and I appreciate you got your son
Yeah,
in that
man.
company staying with there, so I don't want to keep you away too long.
Yeah,
But
we're
I
good.
figured I'd ask you a couple of rapid, fun questions. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. If you couldn't fish for bass, smallmouth, spotted, or largemouth bass, what would you fish for?
If I couldn't fish for those,
Yeah, if you were not allowed for any reason, said you can't fish
striper.
for bass.
Striper.
Stripers, yes. I think that's
Yeah.
number one answer I get from that question.
Yeah.
Striper,
Yeah.
stripers,
Striper.
and redfish.
Yeah. Oh wow. I forgot about a red. I caught one redfish in my life. Big shout out to Dave Kittrell down in I want to make sure I get it. Semis, Alabama. He turned me on to red fishing when I was down there. Yeah, that's pretty dope. So yeah,
Yeah, it is.
either stripe or redfish. Yep.
And next question: if you can only use one lure for the rest of your life, what lure would that be?
God bless. Am I in a river or am I in a lake?
Okay, I'll let you pick. I'll be flexible. River. What would you choose for a river? I already know what you're
Oh
gonna answer.
man. I got hung on this the other day and I really liked it, but I'm not. I'm gonna say a jackhammer.
I knew it.
I mean, I caught a couple fish the other day on a Ned rig. I had never caught a fish on a Ned rig. I used it a couple weeks back, and I caught like 8 fish in a row on that thing on a Ned rig. I'm
But
telling you,
it isn't as fun as catching him on the jackhammer. That's
on
the
that
thing.
jacket, there's not feeling that vibration. All of a sudden, it just stops, and that line gets really heavy. Yeah. So, yep.
To me, jackhammer ruined every single moving bait after that because recently tried the Mega Bass Dark Sleeper, and the thing about it
Okay.
is I can't feel anything. Like, yes, I can feel a bite, but the jackhammer, you get used to that vibration. it kind of becomes soothing. It just
Yes,
you're casting and
yes,
you feel that vibration, you know you're doing something right. When you don't feel it, you know you have to set the hook. So
exactly.
I feel very empty when I'm reeling anything that doesn't vibrate. Like
I
I
get it.
don't
Yep.
throwing this dark sleeper and it's a great bait, but I don't feel anything until something hits it.
Yeah, yeah,
So it is, I don't know why. It's kind of calming effect just to know hear that, just to
yeah.
feel that vibration out of jackhammer.
Amen. Amen.
Let's see. On lake. So what's your favorite bait on lake?
On a lake, man, I got used to. I wasn't great at it, but I got used to doing it. We all go to a Cinco. We get that. That's outside of the Cinco, a jig.
Oh yeah.
David Thompson, MAKBF, one of my guys up here, man, like years ago, he got me to try to fish a jig. It's To me, it's boring as all hell. Let's just call it
Yeah.
what it is. You throw a jig out and you just lift your rod occasionally. Well, I started catching fish on it, and now I like that too. So outside of Cinco on a lake, yeah, I'll go with the jig. Yep. Some people probably go
Yeah.
with the spinner bait, depending if there's like, what cover around, But for me, I'll
Yeah.
take a jig. I'll take a jig because I can fish it off a ledge, or I could fish it off of, like under a dock, or I could fish it on stumps. So I'd go with the jig.
Yeah. It's not a bad pick at all. You should
No.
get some big bites.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, thank you so much again, taking
Yeah,
time
man.
out of your day to be here. And
Yeah.
I'll let you get back to your family and your son. And I know you were having fun at the lake or the pool, wherever you guys were. So thank
Yeah,
you again.
dude. Hey, I
I
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it,
Thanks,
Frank.
brother.
Good luck on the Susquehanna, man. Rooting for you.
Th- Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll
All
keep in
right. For
touch.
those out, yeah, definitely. For those out there listening, if you're gonna be on the water, please wear your PFD. If you're gonna have a couple of beers, just make sure you drink responsibly. Make sure you get back home to your loved ones. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Tight lines.